Hey everyone, welcome back to City Stutters. My name is Jess. It's been a very long time since I've uploaded any kind of a video like this, but I feel like it's very important to get a certain message across to all my friends. And I just feel like I need to talk about it. I don't love uploading videos when I'm busy, but I just felt like I really need to take the time and say this to my friends. I just want to encourage everybody who's growing a garden right now to do a challenge that I did last year during the month of August, and I'm trying to challenge myself with this every day of the summer that I'm home anyway. We have a lot of vacations and a lot of traveling, but while I'm home, I want to I have taken up the challenge to save one thing a day, from the garden to preserve to dehydrate to freeze, whatever it is, to save one thing a day during the summer and fall until we get a frost. That's a big challenge, but if you do things like I do, it's not so difficult. I have been preserving things by dehydrating as well, and that makes it easy. So I just think that it's so important right now with the way the world's going down and food prices hiking up and just food security being in question. I just really challenge you, if you're growing a garden, to save whatever you have in your garden, because and it's not a fear thing. It's just, you know, if you don't want to pay the prices at the store, this is a great way to cushion your finances a bit. So I'm not trying to make anybody afraid. I'm not trying to be doomsday-ish. I just want to say, if you have a garden and you can save your things, my challenge to you is to try to save one thing a day, whether you're freezing it, whether you're canning it, whether you're dehydrating it. That would be really helpful to people. A garden can definitely cushion the wallet, so I really encourage you, if you're growing a garden, to do that. Something else I want to encourage you, if you are not growing a garden and you're wondering how you can do this kind of a thing, preserve, save, whatever. The other day I went to Aldi and grapes were so cheap. I think they were 89 cents a pound or something. This was last week actually. So I bought a bunch of grapes and I froze them. And that's one way that I can buy cheap, and then when they go back up in price, I can feed my kids frozen grapes, and they're really yummy. If you've never frozen grapes before, I really highly suggest you try that, because it's almost like a popsicle treat for my kids. They love frozen grapes, probably more than normal grapes. So there's an idea if you've never tried it. They're really delicious. But you can just go to the store, find the deals, save the deals, and freeze it, dehydrate, whatever. Something else I've done, I've taken mixed veggie bags from the store and dehydrated those mixed veggies, and then you can put them in a food saver and you can save them for long-term storage, and that's a really great option for people who don't have a garden also. So I'll just take you around and kind of show you the things that I've been working on, and talk to you about why I do what I do. So here's my rhubarb patch. I had a bunch growing into these carrots that I placed at the base. You can still see some hanging over here, but I wanted the carrots to get a little more sunlight, so I took a bunch of rhubarb out on both sides. And something I've been doing with rhubarb this year is dehydrating it, because as many of you know who grow rhubarb, you usually have an abundance of it, and it takes a lot of freezer space. And I want to use my freezer for things that are important, meat, whatever. I'd like to freeze things like that more than I want to freeze rhubarb that I don't use that often. So I've dehydrated it, and I will go inside and show you some jars of dehydrated rhubarb. These are my dehydrated rhubarb. So I chop them up into little pieces and place them in the dehydrator, and then just store them in jars. Here's the bundle that I got this morning. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm chopping these little pieces of rhubarb up, and I'm gonna put it in my dehydrator over here. Okay, these look like really big pieces, but they will dehydrate down to itty bitty pieces. So you can see how big some of these are. Some of them are smaller, but these will dehydrate down to very little pieces. The next thing we're gonna look at are my raspberries, and I have picked so many raspberries this year. Sorry, I had a bug on my arm. I'm gonna turn you around here. Here are some that I missed, but I'm not kidding you guys. We have had so many big, beautiful raspberries this year. I've frozen bag after bag after bag of raspberries. And I'll bring you guys indoors and we can look at how I do that together. So I'm having a really hard time finding a place in the house I can do videos today because my whole family's home. So I'm up here in my noisy room with the air conditioner on. I'm sorry, I apologize. I hope you can hear me. I just wanted to share that for my save at least one thing a day today, every day this summer, today I'm doing peas, rhubarb, and raspberries. And I am freezing the peas, dehydrating the rhubarb, and freezing the raspberries. Here are the raspberries I'm freezing. You want to put them on a single sheet, freeze them, and then bag them so they don't all stick together and make a mushy mess when you go to defrost them. We had a big storm and it knocked over some of my pea plants, but these are my peas. They've grown wonderfully. It's getting to be kind of the end of the season for them, I think. Some of them, as you can tell, are dying back, but my kids picked 2 huge bowlfuls of peas. I'm going to take them inside, blanch them, and then freeze them in food saver bags. And that's another way that I'm going to preserve some of the harvest. We are going to process our peas. I'm going to let these boil for about 4 minutes. We're going to put the peas in the ice water and let it sit in there for about another 4 minutes. Okay, so now I transferred these peas from the ice water to the salad shooter, and we're going to spin off the water. Now we're going to vacuum seal it. Now we're just going to label. So those peas that I froze will be perfect for stir fries, or you can just microwave them, add a little butter and salt and pepper, and they're really delicious. So I just wanted to come back out in the garden for a little bit and talk about why dehydrating. I told you that I do it, but I didn't exactly explain why I do it. A few years ago, here in my state, I'm not going to let the YouTube world know where I live, but in my state we had a really bad storm, and most of you who know me know what I'm talking about. We personally were out of power for 2 weeks, and it was in August, and you know, in the middle of August, saving freezer food is really difficult to do when you have no power. We tried to keep our stuff cold as long as possible, but after about 4 days, we're toast. So I did end up throwing a lot away. Thankfully, my parents who live very close to us, we were able to use their freezer, and their freezer was being run off of a generator from their neighbor. So thankfully we were able to save some stuff, but I had put up gallon and gallon bags of tomatoes, and I almost lost all that harvest, and it really made me think about how we preserve our food. So at that point I realized I wanted to do more canning and I wanted to do more dehydrating. So if you're wondering why dehydrating, that's one thing. It's shelf stable, and you don't need electricity to keep it shelf stable. You can just leave it out if you properly seal it and everything. So that's one big reason with people that I talk to about this, I do push dehydrating. I think it's a much more reliable way of saving food than a freezer. But freezing stuff is also very valuable, and I do that as well. And I have a freezer full of stuff from this year, but I don't rely on that only. I guess that's my point. Don't rely only on one method of preserving your food. Try other things. You can even dehydrate eggs. You can dehydrate bone broth. You can dehydrate all kinds of things. And if you lose power, it's available for you to use. You just have to add water to rehydrate it. So That's why I feel like dehydrating food is very valuable. Use different methods. Try canning if you've never done it before. Try dehydrating. And of course use freezing. Why not? I mean, it's a great way to preserve food too, and maybe nothing will happen, but if something happens, you'll always have that backup of dehydrated food or canned food. So that's why I do it, and that's why I feel like it's very important. I just wanted to show you all my nasturtium leaves. These are nasturtiums. There's a little calendula flower in with the nasturtiums, but that's a nasturtium flower back there. I learned just this week, I knew that these were really good for when you're sick, but I did not know this until this week. You can actually use dehydrated nasturtium leaves in a tincture to have like an antibiotic on hand. So you can have a natural antibiotic using nasturtium leaves that are dehydrated. So there's another reason to dehydrate your food. Check out the size of these beets, you guys. I'm not going to be able to get to these today because they're gonna take a little more work, but check that out. Aren't they beautiful? I have lots of beets that I need to process. Now, one thing that I've done with beets that maybe most people aren't used to preserve them is I've fermented them. I've cut them into little itty bitty slices, like coleslaw slices, and it takes a little bit of work, but if you ferment them, they are delicious on sandwiches. I usually eat them with like a tuna sandwich, and I'll add a little spice in there and make it like a spicy tuna sandwich with fermented beets, and it is just amazing. I love it. And then you can, of course, can the beets, make like a sweet sour thing with beets like a lot of people do, but fermenting is my new favorite way of preserving beets. Check out these. This is sage, you guys. It's huge. Check out how big this plant is. This is also another easy thing that you can dehydrate. I've gone through a lot of spices, even from this year, that I've used in different dishes, and you can just dehydrate this and powder it up and use it in any kind of a dish. Okay, well, I'm done with my food saving for the day. It's just about noon, and I got all that done just before noon, so it didn't take me that long, and I saved 3 different crops from my garden. I hope this inspires you all to try to save maybe one thing a day if you can, all summer long, and you'll have a pantry and a freezer full of food. Till next time, thanks for watching.